Back in the tiny room!
9 seconds doesn't count. Mick is too afraid to let the drop off not exist anymore.
Look, it's gone. Anyway, we're back in the tiny room. We're back with Micheal and Benjamin's podcast. I am, as always, Michael, and I'm here with my delightful co-host, Benjamin.
G'day, g'day.
He's Australian now.
I am.
You going to maintain this?
I can absolutely maintain this for the entire podcast, mate.
Oh, great.
No problem at all.
So thematic.
Yeah.
Because we've had a tweet.
A tweet?
Yeah, from an Australian man.
From an Australian man?
Yes, his name is Tucker McDingo.
Oh, I know him well. Great bloke.
And Tucker says, hello, what do Australians call people? Hello, you drongos.
You drongos, yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
Classic Tucker.
I noticed you were talking about death in Pretty Deadly there recently. Are there any other death characters which are also interesting?
Tom, mate, Tucker, we've talked about this 100 times, mate, out of the back. Like, that's ridiculous.
Stop.
Sorry, I'm going to go over. Anyway, that's enough out of that one. Sorry, my Australian cousin was in the tiny room for a second.
Was that yours? Do you have an Australian cousin?
No, I don't.
Oh.
It's part of the illusion.
Oh, it was a bit.
It was an illusion. It was a terrible bit, though. Yeah, there are other deaths in comics.
Because we were talking about Pretty Deadly.
And there were lots of deaths.
Lots of deaths.
Around. Deaths of vengeance.
Yeah.
Deaths of grace.
Reapers.
Repairs.
Our noted comic book writer and writer of Pretty Deadly. What's her name again?
Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Yeah, what did she do again?
Nick.
Yeah.
She saw our post on Instagram and she
Yay!
liked it. Yay!
We're minor celebrities.
The official Kelly Sue DeConnick, actually, the creator of one of the shows we talked about on our show, actually liked our stuff on Instagram. I nearly had a fit. I was at a friend's house and Mick sent it to me and he was like, don't make a big deal of it. So I fucking squealed.
He did. It's terrifying.
I was just like, oh.
So did you know, this is totally unrelated and this has just come back to me now.
It's okay.
Did you ever hear of, do you know, okay, what way am I going to approach this? Did you know that Kelly Sue DeConnick is either married to or common law spouse of comic book writer Matt Fraction? Did not know that. Matt Fraction, pretty famous.
Pretty famous.
He writes for Marvel.
Casanova.
Yes.
Is his
Sex
private
Criminals?
run. Sex. He, Chip Zdarsky and Matt Fraction.
Yeah.
Don't like Sex Criminals.
I liked the first run. But
got messy.
Yeah. Anyway, they're in a relationship.
Did not know that.
Did you know that a comic book shop in Ireland, let's not name the name of the comic book shop,
until they pay us.
Yeah, they used to have a yearly Comic Con in Ireland back when Comic Cons weren't that popular in Ireland.
Fair enough.
And it was tiny. It was in Dundrum in the shopping centre.
Wow.
Yeah. And
did not know this.
A few years ago, I think it was 2014, they announced that the pair of special guests that year would be Matt Fraction and
Kelly Sue,
Matt Fraction's wife.
Oh,
Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Oh,
and the internet melted down.
And that's why we don't have a mini Comic Con anymore.
No, I think they recovered from it. Anyway,
that's not
mini Comic Con
good at all.
And it started the whole trend of quite big name creators changing their Twitter bio at the time to, like, let's say, pick a comic book creator. Like in that Hickman. So it would say Jonathan Hickman, and then his bio would say, is not Matt Fraction's wife. Or is also not Matt Fraction's wife, or something like that. And there was a lot of backlash for this local comic book shop in Dublin.
And this is why we're not naming it. Not for the money, lads.
Yeah.
It's because we care.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit of trivia about that.
Well, anyway, she likes us.
Yeah, mostly because we seem to recognise her as an independent artist and know her for her own work and
not
discovered
not
later
the artist formerly known as Matt Fraction's wife.
Yeah, we discovered later that she happened to be married
the significant
to
other of Matt Fraction.
So Matt Fraction is her husband.
Anyway, I like you just the way you are, Kelly Sue, and thanks for making my evening this week, which says a lot more about the type of evenings I have. But
yeah, it does, doesn't it? Anyway, so yes, Pretty Deadly is a lot about death, isn't it?
It's heaps of death.
So, did you do any research about death?
You know, I might have.
I think you probably did.
I might have done some research. I have been known to do that. So, death in comic books is a pain in the ass. Ever since the famous run of Death of...
Hold on. Are you talking about the concept of death?
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, okay.
So, the concept of death in comic books has died a death on its very own ever since the Death of Superman run. I think it was commented on by, is it Max Landis, who directed Chronicle?
Stop rubbing your legs. It's picked up on the thing.
Max Landis.
Is it the ringworm again?
It's the ringworm again. It's still here. Weeks later, and I'm still covered in ringworm.
2 weeks later.
No, Max Landis of Chronicle fame, I think.
He wrote Chronicle, right?
He wrote Chronicle, but he also does lots of things. He also did mini YouTube videos for a while. One on wrestling.
Great wrestling.
And he did one on the Death of Superman. I think we'll link it below if we can.
Yeah, that's really good.
And yeah, it's really good. But the ultimate goal of that video is to show you that not so much that death didn't happen in comics or the death wasn't a thing, but it became a real marketing gimmick.
Was that a movie pitch?
No, it was just a little thing that he did where he got all his celebrity friends together. I think Tobey Maguire's in it. I think Elijah Wood is in it somewhere.
Imagine how awesome this podcast would be if we had celebrity friends.
Oh man, Kelly Sue, wanna be our friend? Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be great if we had celebrity friends.
I actually just remembered I do, but in another field.
Oh, balls.
So it's not worth
what field is it? Oh, yeah. No, we can't have them on the podcast.
No, it doesn't. Anyway.
It's not as great.
Where are we?
I mean, we could completely change the tone and theme of the podcast. And then that would be useful information, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, in the Death of Superman, guess what happens?
He comes back.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Sorry,
he's death on the dead.
It's called The Death and Return of Superman.
It's called The Death of Superman.
No, sorry.
The return wasn't in the fucking title. But anyway, Superman died. The world was aghast. Mm-hmm. Everything was like, oh no. Mm-hmm. But he came back.
Yeah, he's got back.
And then after that, sales of Superman skyrocketed for months.
Wow.
Like it wasn't a dead cat bounce, it was a revival. Mm-hmm. And this was bizarre. And the media went bananas.
Yeah, the media
they were like, Superman is dead. Superman is dying. They can't do this. They asked people on the street and people were like, you can't kill Superman. Like they had a fit. The only time that I've seen such a strong backlash from the public is when Captain America turned out to be a Nazi.
That was pretty recently. And the dude that came up with that storyline has been getting death threats from like former US Marines who were like, Captain America was my icon. That actually happened. He got death threats from Marines. Yeah, former Marines aren't the most mentally stable of people.
They're not, but that's a strong reaction to a fictional character. Mm-hmm. And Superman was definitely that at one point. He represented everything that was America. But he came back.
Yeah.
But more importantly, he came back with a large profit margin. And so heroes started to kind of, I'm dead.
Oh, man.
And I'm back. And that was the end of death in comic books.
I've died. And I'm back.
Time warp.
They say that there are only 3 characters in comic books who stay dead. Bucky, Uncle Ben, and Jason Todd.
That's not true for 2 of those.
I know
anymore.
Isn't that interesting?
We thought that was, but I think who came first? Was it Bucky who came back first, or was it Jason Todd who came back first?
I think it was Jason Todd who came back first.
Oh, and it turns out annoying sidekicks actually make great fodder for new villains.
Yeah.
So then we had maybe Bucky was putting cryogenic stasis by the KGB and had his arm replaced and with the big metal arms. It's kind of cool. So basically, death in comics became something of a gimmick. And I think it's more.
Johnny Storm died there recently. He's fine again now.
But I think it's more significant when people stay dead. For example, Wolverine.
Yeah.
The Wolverine of Earth 616 is dead and has stayed dead. No, but they copped out and they brought in a parallel dimension one. Yeah.
And the lady one.
Well, the lady one was always there.
Yeah,
and she took over.
If you bring in basically what they've done is they've killed off young Wolverine and brought in old Wolverine from a different dimension. Because that was
very popular.
So they've essentially just aged him. That's all they've done.
I'm sure they could have found a better way to do that.
Yeah, but that worked. Look,
but also the death of Wolverine sold a lot of copies. So It's now a marketing scheme and a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
it's also
who's dead? Who's currently dead?
Who's currently dead?
Of note. Is anyone dead?
Wolverine.
Kind of.
Yeah, in every way, but actuality.
He's not even remotely though. Like he's still in comics. He's not dead.
Different
Wolverine's not dead. Is anyone actually dead? Is anyone actually currently dead? Hal Jordan's not still dead, is he?
He's back.
He's alive. Well, not alive.
There's like
but
6
back.
Green Lanterns.
Is anyone dead? I don't think anyone of
Bucky's
note.
back. Jason's back.
Yeah. I don't think anyone of note is currently dead.
It will be soon.
An X-Man is probably dead, but
they're dead. Jesus, they drop like flies.
They're dead as often as they're alive. So
there is no one of significance dead, which I suppose is a positive thing. In some ways.
I liked Invincible. Did you ever read Invincible?
Invincible is very good.
Was
very good.
Yeah.
We've had a debate about this before. You're a long-term fan of Invincible.
I have been Invincible almost from the start. But Invincible started because it was in its own universe and it didn't need to bring characters back. When people died, they stayed dead. But pretty much everyone's back now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, balls.
In some form or another.
I hate that.
Alternate universe version, time travel version.
Yeah, but they're back.
Everyone's back pretty much.
The merchandising rights are back in full flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, death as a concept is not all that rigorous in comics. And likewise, Grim Reapers in comics are not all that rigorous.
Or grim.
They're... Mick, I'm going to ask a question to kick this one off.
Oh, okay.
Why is death in comics so goddamn sexy?
She's always sexy.
What's that about?
Why is it always a lady?
Why is it always a lady?
Well, it isn't.
Oh.
But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Cunning Mick. It was a ruse.
I rused you.
I foxtrotted my way into a little ruse.
How terrible.
But, why is death usually sexy?
Because death is sexy.
Is it?
I think it's Neil Gaiman's fault. Which came first?
The chicken or the sexy goth chick? Probably the chicken. But for the purpose of this podcast, the sexy goth chick? Yeah, probably the sexy goth chick.
Do you want to do your one? You going to tell us about?
No.
Am I going first?
Let's kick off with you.
Okay. Will you?
Why not?
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman. Okay. So look, you've read Sandman, haven't you?
I have extensively.
Everyone's read Sandman.
I adore Sandman.
So, Sandman himself as a character, I wouldn't say enduringly that popular. I think
to a select few he's enduring. Yeah, but as a well, he was always kind of more of like a thing that you told the story through, like a prism that you saw the world through.
See
so he was never really like he was never given that much.
No,
he's a very tragic figure.
Yeah, he's moany. Is what
very
you mean.
moany, like,
very moany, very morbid.
No. So moany that his big sister, Death, tells him to cheer the fuck up from time to time.
Yeah, cup yourself on, you big old jerk.
Yeah.
So, Death, as you know, was a character, one of the eight endless
of DC.
Of DC. Well, kind of DC.
Have you seen the latest run of Batman?
Don't cover your mouth when you're talking.
Have you seen the latest run of Batman? Sorry, Mum.
No. Just call me Mum?
Yeah, because you told me to cover my mouth. Don't cover your mouth when you talk.
Go on, what were you saying about Batman?
Batman Metal is a new thing being launched by Scott Schneider and Mike Quillo. Daniel Dream of the Endless is a main character in it.
Really?
Yeah, he comes in at the end.
Is he a superhero?
No, he's here to tell Batman. He's Batman's guide through this. Because again, Batman is the center of the DC universe for some reason.
Yeah.
Because it's good for profits.
Yeah, money.
And Scott Schneider seems to be obsessed with Batman.
Yeah. Zack Snyder.
Scott Snyder. There's too many Snyders writing for DC.
Is that a race thing?
What white nerdy guys get into do things? Probably. It's a pretty biased industry. Let's not lie to each other.
Tell me about
Daniel. Yeah, so Daniel's there, but the Endless seem to either are very much part of the DC universe or they're just never mentioned.
Well, okay, right. So here, okay, let's get into it.
Come on,
so
you do the research
Endless,
on this one.
There are eight conceptual beings. And almost all start with D.
Oh yeah.
Death, desire, delirium, dream, destruction.
And then the last one?
Despair. So
is the 7 endless or the 8?
Aren't there 7 but the 8th is missing?
Destiny,
yes.
Oh no, it's Destruction who's missing.
Destruction
he
who's
goes
missing.
off on a little wander.
Yeah. Anyway, the overall plot of Sandman doesn't matter very much for what we're talking about, because the standout character was introduced in issue 8, and she was Death. And
Death of the Endless.
so here's the funny thing about her, right? She's the only one who Neil Gaiman didn't have a hand in designing.
Huh.
Did you know that?
Didn't know that at all.
So Neil
Genuinely.
Gaiman, they were created by Neil Gaiman and Mike Drindenberg.
Yes.
Dringenberg.
Who's a very, very 80s artist.
Yes, he's very 80s. He's exceptionally 80s. And he didn't really do much other than
Get a
Sandman.
chance.
No. So, of all the characters, Neil Gaiman sent notes to Mike Drindenberg and said, this one will look like this and this one will look like that. And he sent the notes for Death. And it was Gaiman who came up with the whole idea of her not being grim.
So she's quite cheerful.
She's very cheerful.
Yeah.
She says things like peachy keen.
Oh, she does.
And she's
Jelly bean.
Yes, and fantabulous.
Yeah.
Which is a word which has entered my day-to-day vocabulary, and I didn't know it had come from Sandman.
That's sad.
Isn't it?
Well,
No,
it's kind of cool.
Good. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's kind of cool.
It's not sad. It's fantastic.
Kind of cool.
It's peachy keen.
Oh, get
So-
that out of here.
So it was Gaiman. It was Gaiman who made her perky, but Drindenberg, not in the nipulars area. She does have. It wasn't Gaiman who made her perky in the nipular area. It was Mike Drindenberg. Mike Drindenberg had a friend, and she was a lady, and she was a gothic lady, and she was a gothic piercer and tattoo artist.
Was Mike trying to sleep with her so he put her in
I
a
think
comic?
he might have had a bit of a thing for her. I think he might have been a bit obsessed.
You don't
Her name was
immortalise her as the content.
her name was Cinnamon Hadley. Sin to her friends, and
It's uncomfortably goth.
she's very goth.
God.
But that's the point.
I know.
If you look her up, we'll stick some pictures in the video, obviously.
I really want to look her up right now.
Just look her up now.
You keep talking.
Cinnamon,
You keep
C-I-M,
talking.
Cinnamon Hadley, and Cinnamon was his. I think he was obsessed with her, but he basically just drew her into the comic. He asked her, like, "Do you want to be in this comic that
was
I'm
good of him.
working on?" And she said, "Oh yeah, sure, why not?" And then she never really saw much more of it
Okay.
until years and years later. She was
Oh,
like,
wow!
let me see.
Wow!
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? So yeah,
Wow! That's like she's the spit.
yeah. It's not like he didn't base her on her. He just bloody drew her.
Yeah, no, that's not inspiration. That's like, look at that. Like, there's a comparison here.
Yeah, he
Like,
just
he just
drew
got
the
that
picture.
photograph and drew it.
Yeah,
What the?
it's amazing, isn't it?
That's so messy.
But so she didn't really know how popular the character was, and years later she picked up the comic and noticed that she was thanked in the credits. And I went, "That's me."
It's quite cool.
She has a kind of tragic story. Actually, she got cancer. I think she's a bit down and out, and
balls.
some comic creators teamed up to help her. She's still alive.
Oh,
She still
that's not so bad.
looks largely like that. She looks like how Death, the
Should
character,
look.
would look if she aged. Yeah, and she was in her 60s now. So the thing is,
Did Mike ever get to sleep with her?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, it doesn't need to do
I
it.
don't think you usually get to sleep with women who you put in your comic books.
No, if not, then it'd be a very lucrative business.
Yeah, you'd have a lot more success.
I have no response to that. Doesn't make us any losers, so I'm just going to sit that one out.
Right, so then she became the standout character, obviously. This kind of perky, sexy goth chick.
Yeah. And people adored her.
Yeah, but did you see that style? Like, she got the mad hair. The character doesn't look like that anymore.
No, they've toned her.
They've toned her way
un-80'd her.
They've tamed her hair. She has nice straight hair with a fringe now and stuff. That
She keeps the yank.
Yeah, that was mostly Chris Bacalo. I can't pronounce it.
I know what you're talking about anyway. He
But-
has that very inky, fluid kind
Yeah.
of style.
He made her a bit younger looking, a bit less edgy.
Yeah, because she's very
She's a non
heroin chic.
Yeah,
In Sandman.
In Sandman, yes,
In
exactly.
Sandman.
She's a real edgy goth. Like, she's the type of goth
You
who-
cross the street to avoid.
No, well, I wouldn't, but
No,
normal
but
people.
you're a rather big man.
Normal people.
No, normal
She's
people.
the type of
grannies.
goth. She's the type of goth that people don't like.
And just
People who don't like goths.
Okay, fair enough.
But she became very much a mainstream.
Cute and sexy goth.
She's a cute and sexy goth. She's got the super tight leather
Emo.
trousers.
She's an emo.
She's not an emo because she's
Not
not
very
sad. because she's always happy.
She is always happy.
She's in exceptionally tight trousers and exceptionally tight top. She has lovely hair and lovely skin, and she's
Perfectly
just
pale.
lovely.
She's just lovely. She actually topped the poll in... I can't remember who did it. What death would you like to meet?
Yeah,
She
course.
she tops that poll
In Empire,
all the time.
Empire magazine do the
That might have been it.
like top comic book characters of all time, and she was like the 15th best comic book character
Of all time.
of all
she's,
time.
She's a very
Higher
reassuring
than
death.
Wonder
She's-
Woman.
What?
Higher than several other
Significance.
famous so
That would be a terrible superhero team.
when she
The
spun, so
significance.
they spun her off
Okay.
into Death, the High Cost of Living.
Oh! But she got her own little mini...
She got her own little mini thing where she has this thing where once a century she becomes mortal for a day,
Yeah.
so that she knows the taste of what she's taking away.
That's not unlike something that we covered in the Pretty Deadly podcast.
See what I'm saying?
Oh.
So
Okay.
that, interestingly enough, was Vertigo's first thing, because before that it had been DC.
Oh, so Vertigo got their start with
Death,
the High Cost of Living.
Death was the beginning.
Oh, you walked me into a metaphor.
I know.
You horse's ass.
I know, a real bad guy.
Oh.
So in Thing, right? Yeah, she's the personification of death.
She is.
Neil Gaiman has he has a bugbear about this.
Oh.
Because they're in the DC universe.
Yes.
And they're conceptual entities in the DC universe. They're nigh omnipotent.
Yes.
They can only be really undone by characters of the same level.
By choice.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah. So Superman's not going to punch her to death or anything like that, because she is death.
Impossible.
Yeah. So I can't remember what comic it was, Atom Smasher or something, some stupid stuff.
They sometimes introduce those characters randomly in that.
So they brought them in, right? And she was on I can't remember what it was. Captain Atom.
Okay.
And he was dying.
That's DC's.
Yeah. Nuclear powered guy.
Yeah.
And he was dying. And when he was dying, he met DC's 3 representations of death.
Okay, one.
So he met her,
Okay.
the perky, sexy goth chick.
Chick.
He met Necron.
Who's the demon from hell?
No. Are you thinking of Etrigan?
No.
Erdogan.
No, there was a spate of 90s.
Hold on.
Sorry.
You skimmed over a great joke. That was a great joke. I said Erdogan, the despotic Prime Minister of Turkey.
It's not.
It's Etrigan.
It's not him.
Anyway, Necron is...
Stay away from politics.
You take a shot at Trump, I can take a shot at Erdogan.
But Trump sent the cease and desist. You're being sued, Michael.
So Necron
Yeah.
is the Green Lantern's version of death, essentially.
Oh.
And he is a Reaper. And
okay. For
he's
lanterns.
No, for everyone.
Oh,
But you know, every kind of comic has its own
version of it.
version.
The Black Racer, is that the other one?
So the Black Racer is the New Gods version,
Yeah.
right? And Ben, the Black Racer, is fucking ridiculous.
It's a guy on skis.
He's on skis.
He's on skis. He skis through the universe.
He's on skis.
And no one can outrun the racer.
With a cape and the
a helmet?
15th century knight's helmet.
And he's black.
No, he's blue.
No, he's black in some versions. Like, he's literally on the nose, the black African-American racer.
Oh yeah,
it's,
like he's ethnically
It's
African.
like... Yeah, but I was just like, it's a bit on the nose, isn't it?
It's fucking bizarre.
It's like if you saw a black taxi driver and said, "Oh look, a black taxi driver."
It was
the black taxi driver.
It was Jack Kirby, obviously.
Jackie
I
Curbs.
think it was a parody of Silver Surfer.
Had to be.
Because why is he on fucking skis?
The black skier.
What have skis got to do with anything?
What skis got to do?
So,
got to do
in that comic,
Sorry.
the 3 of them were represented as like Necron was like the fear of death. Death was this giant, terrifying spectre.
Okay.
And the Black Racer was like the...
Is Necron very Reapery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a space Grim Reaper sort of thing. And the Black Racer was the kind of inevitability, the unavoidable
Because
aspect
no one
of
can
death.
outrun the racer.
Because no one can outrun the Racer. Because he has fucking space skis.
Not even the Flash.
Even the Flash can't outrun. Well, the Flash has their own version of death as well. They have the death of speedsters, the Black Flash.
Oh yeah, that's from this TV though.
No, that's from the
is that
comics.
canon?
Yeah.
He has a lot of big mythology behind him.
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't think anyone has as much pseudoscience and...
It's not even pseudoscience, it's just nonsense.
But like I don't think anyone has such a built-up...
Hate the Flash's stuff.
Hate it. You're a former...
recovered scientist. But that's fine. Like, I spent about 3 hours on the Supernatural wiki today.
Why?
I don't know. I just find...
because they have Reapers.
They have Reapers and
They
death.
have Reapers.
And she is...
And death. They have a big one.
And she is the kind of acceptance of death.
Yeah, she's the hope at the end of death.
Yeah, right, exactly. So Neil Gaiman didn't like it, because Neil Gaiman's like, no. She's not an aspect of death. She is the concept of death.
Death.
Yeah. And he really took a bit of offence at...
He gets that a lot in his old age.
No, this was ages ago.
No, but he's
a bit
has
pernickety.
this a lot. He can be. He sued Marvel for years over one of their characters. No, he sued...
Todd McFarlane. Famous asshole Todd McFarlane.
Famous asshole. God,
So,
he's even worse than us.
You have to kind of think... and Alan Moore?
Alan Moore have a go?
No, he sued Alan Moore for...
Who, Todd
Marvel.
McFarlane?
No, Neil Gaiman.
He sued Alan Moore?
Yeah.
I thought they were buddies.
I don't think so. I think you're thinking of Warren Ellis.
I thought Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman get on.
I thought they had a falling out over men misremembering things.
Yeah, no, that's definitely... Rebranding is coming. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So yeah, that's death in DC anyway.
Yeah.
She's a sexy goth chick.
So
I was thinking who to do some casting, right?
Yeah.
And Neil Gaiman himself has talked about casting The Endless before.
Is it Cinema Hadley?
Well,
facelift?
That's the thing. He's for some reason he never talks about who will play Death, and I'd say that might be why.
Out of respect?
Not necessarily out of respect, but
Or
because there's already the perfect person, and it's her 30 years ago.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
So it's a tricky one to cast. There's lots of fan casting.
Who are some of the top picks?
Most popular pick? Probably Tatiana Maslany. Her from Out Orphan Black.
Oh, yeah. That'd fit.
That'd work.
That'd fit. You're one from Orphan Black.
Personally, I was thinking Ksenia Solo.
From... Gotta help me out, sorry.
Also Orphan Black. But she was a minor character. She was also in Lost Girl. She was the least interesting ballet dancer in Black Swan. Are you looking her up?
I'm trying.
Hold on.
It's very hard to spell her name without Google autocorrecting.
Yeah. There's too many... Hold on. There we go. There you go. Look.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice. Yeah, that's a very deathy death there. She's very... look at her there now as a goth.
Yeah.
Jesus.
There she is as someone we know.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's weird, isn't it?
That's so weird.
But... You know what though? I've changed my mind.
Oh.
I changed my mind today.
Today?
You know who I want for it now?
Who?
Kristen Ritter.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
Bang on.
Could not think of a more ideal version of... Do you ever see Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23?
Yeah, it's Don't Trust the Bitch in Apartment 23 though.
Yeah,
that's what the show is called.
I didn't know whether we were... Well, we curse all the time in this fucking show, so... but yeah, she'd be perfect. That kind of chirpy, kind of like...
Yeah.
Hi.
When she does when her fake
characters
in
on...
Defenders.
Perfect.
Just went, yeah, that's her.
Perfect. Fantabulous. Peachy Keen. Jelly Bean. Perfect.
There you go. That's
some nice fan casting right there.
Thanks. Don't have a pitch.
No. Well, that'd be a tough one to pitch now.
Yeah.
They've been trying to do that for years and it hasn't worked. Cool. Well, from one sexy death to another, I'm going to talk about Mistress Death, which first of all is just a ridiculous name for something. Mistress Death. So, Mistress Death in the Marvel Universe is significant.
Oh, we're going to Marvel now.
For a number of reasons. Yes, this is their... I guess... Well, she's much earlier than... Mistress Death is much earlier than Endless Death.
Oh, really?
Mistress Death is from 1973.
Oh, that's 20 years earlier.
But...
Yes.
All to do with a captain. You mistook Captain Marvel for Captain Atom. She actually made her first appearance in Captain Marvel.
Did she?
Number 26.
Oh.
Captain Marvel. Because that is where the Mad Titan Thanos made his first appearance.
Who wrote
Captain
that?
Marvel is the traditional...
Was it Roy Thomas?
It could have been. I think it was Jim Starlin.
Oh, Jim, of course. I knew Jim Starlin invented Thanos. Yeah, I did know that. I should have got it.
Did you actually know that?
Yeah, of course I did.
Oh, okay.
He's the father of Cosmic Marvel.
Oh, is he? Starlin.
Thanos, Quasar.
Quasar! I haven't heard Quasar
Adam
in years.
Warlock.
Oh, the Shifting Man?
Huh?
Shifting Man?
No, Adam Warlock is him. Perfect human.
Oh!
He's from Guardians of the Galaxy, the end scene.
Which part?
The post-credit scene.
Which...
Where Aisha has made this thing and she's like, I'm making someone to chase.
Oh, that's him. It's Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I was wondering what that reference was. I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't figure that out. Thanks for filling that in.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm here for.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's good to know. Thanos is... first of all, he's going to be the main villain of Infinity War. Josh Brolin. Rolling it up.
Yeah.
As the Mad Titan. But their version of Death, Mistress Death, is something that he is obsessed with.
Because she's a sexy goth.
She's not a goth. She's like a sexy socialite. It's very hard. She's often depicted. She's not as sexy as Little Goth Perky Death. Little Goth Percy Death, which is the name of my new clothing brand for Barbie dolls.
Weird.
It was already weird. So she is often depicted in a red dress, like an evening dress or a gown, very form fitting.
Yes,
very form tight around the hips. And the upper curves.
The upper curves.
The upper curves, also known as breasts. So, round breasticles and hips.
Benjamin, look at that lady. She has lovely upper curves.
That's how we get away with it on public transport.
Alright.
Just kidding, I often get slapped. But the thing that really marks her apart from Happy-Go-Lucky Death
is the size of her upper curves.
Well, her upper curves are significantly larger.
But that's a good thing about Endless Death, isn't it?
She's not ridiculously over the top at all.
There's a version of her that Jim Lee drew, and then she got a bit bustier. But
that's all Jim Lee. He's like a more tame version of Rob Liefeld, which isn't saying much.
He can draw feet.
He can draw feet and hands.
Yeah. Does people with metal arms.
And he does it quite often, just to prove that he's not Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, look, Rob, look at all the feet.
Look at all the hands and feet that I draw accurately and in proportion with the rest of them. But they differ in one key aspect. She is missing a face. Mistress Death is a skull.
Oh,
more often than not.
Sexy skeleton.
She's a sexy skeleton. And not much for conversation.
Oh?
Doesn't talk. She's more of a portent of death, as in she's like an omen.
Oh.
Quite often. The characters meet her, but only when they're going to die.
Oh.
And she doesn't open her mouth to them.
Is she, and I learned this word yesterday, a psychopomp?
Oh, like a psychological manifestation of something?
No, that's not what a psychopomp is.
It's the projected...
No.
No, am I wrong?
A psychopomp is an entity that guides you to the afterlife.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
It comes from the Greek.
No, I believe you. I've heard it before.
I don't know how to pronounce the Greek word, but psycho is like soul.
Okay.
And pomp is guide, basically.
Oh, psychopomp.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'd heard the word before, but I didn't know what it meant.
We just got the episode title too.
Yeah.
Sexy Psychopomps.
Yes.
That's perfect.
That's great.
Sexy Psychopomps it is. But doesn't engage with people.
No, but sorry, that was a real question. Is she a psychopomp? Does she cause the people's death, or does she just guide them afterwards?
That's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking that question.
You're welcome.
So, the Mad Titan Thanos is obsessed with her, mainly because she won't talk to him. He's in love with this concept of death and everything she represents. And to woo her, he begins this march across the universe, eliminating life. Good. And what he does is he hands the souls of these people like bouquets of flowers to her, which is very strange. But kind of awesome in the same way.
In a way.
In a weird kind of way. It's just like so ridiculous that it's kind of cool. And she obviously appreciates this because she never talks to him, but occasionally she resurrects him. So there are times when Thanos has died in the Marvel continuity and she always kind of sees to it that he comes back. More importantly, there is a parallel universe to the Earth 616 continuity. Sorry, I'm distracting Michael with my fingers because I move my hands a lot when I talk, and he's like a cat, so you can kind of make him follow it around. And in I can't remember what it is. It's like Earth 119 something. That's an obscure thing, but it's called the Cancerverse.
Oh, I know it.
The Cancerverse is a universe that has conquered death, and naturally, this stands as something of a middle finger to her because she's quite adamant that she is the end of all things. And I will get to how I know that in a second.
Okay. She doesn't speak.
Because she doesn't speak, except to one very important character who we'll want to know in a second, Mick, who speaks to Mick.
Yes.
And using Thanos, Thanos teams up with someone called Annihilus. Annihilus
is a kind of insect man.
Yeah. So there are two ways that we know that she really wants to be the concept of death and that she doesn't want that to change. One is that Annihilus was a cosmic threat at one point in the Marvel Universe, who threatened to wipe out all life.
Yeah.
She did not want this to happen.
He's a real dickhead.
Yeah. And she did not want this to happen because then she would lose her meaning.
Yeah.
If there was no life, there could be no death. Right? So she sent Thanos, she booted him up and was like, come on, take care of that.
Yeah.
So the Mad Titan took that on. And she also used Thanos to open up a portal to the Cancerverse. Now, when she finally managed to get into the Cancerverse, because there was no death in this place, she actually sets about killing everything.
Good.
Isn't that strange? But that shows you she doesn't interfere unless she wants to. So she can wreak death across universes, apparently, if she wants, at the click of a finger. Because she just goes in, and all these powerful characters in the Cancerverse, there's like a dark Captain Marvel and things like that, they all step up to stop her, and she just wipes them clean off. So she's perfectly able to do that. She just doesn't. So what are her motivations? She doesn't talk. Why do we not know that? I think it's quite interesting that the only character she ever talks to is Deadpool.
Right.
She talks to Deadpool.
Maybe she doesn't.
But we'll get to that in a second. There's more stuff. No, it's perfectly good because what you're doing is you're just opening each door for me, like, after you.
And now the racist door.
The racist door. I'll get there, don't worry. I'll always have a crack at the racist door by the end. She is a psychopomp for Deadpool.
Right.
Absolutely.
But he doesn't die.
He doesn't, but he wasn't always like that. Deadpool is a reject from the Weapon X program in Canada. He had Wolverine's healing factor cloned, tinkered with to deal with his cancer, and placed inside him. It didn't activate. So he had the latent genes in his body, and it didn't take.
Right.
He was then transferred to, if I'm going to remember what this was called.
Alkali Lake.
No, he was transferred. What's it called? The
Give me a hint.
Oh, this is going to annoy the crap out of me. It's the workshop. He was transferred to the workshop, which is where a man called Dr. Kilbrew, classic comic book villain name, Dr. Kilbrew, was allowed to experiment on the rejects from the legitimate Weapon X program in Canada. So the
like
workshop was like an unregulated kind of hospice for all these failed projects. And they were experimented on quite often. Deadpool wanted to die after he flunked out of the program. He didn't care. His healing factor wasn't working. The cancer was still eating his body. But Dr. Kilbrew thought it was interesting that he survived the procedure, so he started to experiment him all the time. Very often, what would happen is he'd bring him to the brink of death. He realised the experiment wasn't working and he'd stop so that he could heal, and then he'd try again.
Right.
Every time he came to the brink of death, he would meet the Psychopomp Death, Mistress Death. And she was fascinated by him because she could interact with him.
Why?
It's never explained. He slowly starts to descend into madness more and more and more and
that's
more.
how he became a crazy person.
Yeah, because he keeps being experimented on to the point of death.
Okay.
It starts to fracture his mind. And then, so we don't know if he's actually dealing with the real Mistress Death or if this is just some kind of manifestation that he needs his psychopomp. If he needs a psychopomp. And then what happens is he has a stress related thing. He watches a friend die in the hospice.
A hernia.
And it finally activates. He's really close to death. He has his neck snapped. And he's about to die.
Yeah.
And the stress of seeing his friend die right before he does
gives him an ulcer.
But also triggers his healing factor, which finally kicks in, and he becomes Deadpool. Okay? Now this is awful, because death is right about to have him, and she has basically she's in love with Deadpool because she can actually interact with him, which is the first time she's been allowed to do that.
Death has always fallen in love with people.
Especially in this.
Yeah, and pretty deadly.
How's it go? And pretty deadly, yeah, exactly. So in this one it's the exact same, except it's a woman and a man this time. And so this kicks off this whole...
But we're all for equal marriage here.
We're all sorry. That was not a jab at equality. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen, or ladies and ladies, or gentlemen and gentlemen. I really don't mind. So this is his arc, and they actually have a bizarre thing in the Deadpool things where Thanos realizes this. That Thanos realizes that he has spoken, or that Deadpool has spoken to her.
Right. And
he hates him for this. He can't believe that he has conquered entire galaxies, like parts of the universe in her name. And this mortal gets to have time with her. So he curses Deadpool with eternal life.
He does?
Yeah.
Does he have that much power?
He grants him with the gauntlet to have eternal life so that he can never consummate his relationship with death. So, it's always remarked upon in the comics that it seems like Deadpool is more powerful than Wolverine. He can come back from anything. And he can, because Thanos won't let him die. He's been cursed with this weird thing. So, the Mistress Death in that one is quite unusual. She's not benevolent in certain cases. She's quite egotistical in other cases, and she's bizarrely in love with Deadpool in other cases. She's a strange character. I think what happened was it got retconned in Deadpool because they looked at the Starlin run at this kind of sexy socialite death and were like, wouldn't that be weird if that made a comeback?
And we need weird stuff.
We do need weird stuff.
So if Thanos is does all this stuff because he's inspired by his love for Mistress Death, is that why he's going to try and kill everyone in Infinity War?
Nope.
Oh, good. Okay, well, that's the end of the podcast.
I don't think so.
No, I'm joking.
There is a lot of speculation about this. They think that Hela is going to take the place of Mistress Death.
Who's Hela?
Hela is the main villain of Thor Ragnarok.
Kate Blanchett.
And she is the Norse
sexy
goddess of the underworld. Sexy evil Kate Blanchett. Not half deformed on one side. In classic Norse mythology, half of Hela's body is decomposing like a corpse, and the other half is a beautiful woman. The reason she's not like that in the comics is because she has a little cape. She wears a cape that keeps her fully formed. If you remove the cape, she turns into the classic version of... I only found this out when I was researching it. I found it absolutely hilarious.
In the comics, is she Loki's daughter?
She is. In certain aspects, and other times she's not. But generally speaking, she is the classic Norse genetic family tree wise. She's the classic Norse Loki and Angrboda, giantess sorceress. Can never remember what her actual name or how it's pronounced. Begins with an A, has an N and a G in there somewhere. Their daughter, one of the three beasts of the apocalypse. There's Jormungand, Fenris, Fenrir, whichever you prefer, and Hela. One's a giant wolf, one's a giant snake, and one's a half-deformed girl.
Isn't she giant as well?
She can be.
She's a giant sexy lady.
She's got undefined levels of power. She is not beholden to Norse mythology. In this, she's death in lots of different aspects. And I think it looks like she's going to be the goddess of death for a significant portion of the Marvel Universe, because apparently she's going to team up with Thanos in the thing. I don't think it's been explained why MCU Thanos wants to take out the universe.
Well, we had that one thing where he said, he comes in the trailer for Infinity War, he comes through the portal and he says, usually I don't laugh when bringing order to the universe, but I have to admit that I find this quite entertaining.
Oh, maybe it's to bring order then. He's got one of those. It's like an Ego the Living Planet thing.
Possibly. But, one way to bring order would be to kill everyone.
Well, that's a kind of order.
Maybe if he finds life as itself is disordered and chaotic.
So he's big on order. But he's big on survival of the fittest. He's very dark side in that motivation, because we have that whole thing from Nebula where she was torn apart by him.
You made me
every time she failed.
Every time I failed.
I didn't mind Nebula. I thought she was good.
Hold on a minute. So let's segue. Does that mean you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
It does, Mick. I finally seen this great new movie that came out there.
It came out essentially last year.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, what do you think?
Started this podcast. Great.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not as good as the first one, and they follow a lot of the same beats. That kind of irritated me.
Right.
They worked a lot of that in there, but there were some great scenes, some nice character development in certain places. Yondu.
What a guy! No,
Yondu.
And I've been keeping that in.
That you've done so well.
I didn't tell you.
We're not gonna. I don't think we should. Yondu dies.
Yeah, I think everyone knows.
Yondu dies. Mary Poppins dies.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Yeah.
I was like,
there were
lots of people had a problem with that. And it was like, oh, that's so undefined. Like, when did he become a father figure? I was like, I thought that was very clearly
his whole
marked.
life.
Yeah, but like even in the first thing where he doesn't chase after Quill after he opens up the troll doll, like, there's a lot of father figure stuff throughout that entire arc. Like, but people were like, oh, that's never been established. I was like, yes, it has.
Sometimes people don't understand. Were you on Reddit again?
They play Cat Stevens. Yeah.
Get off Reddit. They did play Cat Stevens.
That song always makes me tear up. I have a really good relationship with my father. Yes. I don't know why it does, but it gets me every fucking time. Yeah. Sly Stone. Let's go steal some shit.
Like the original Guardians. Don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, that's them, is it?
Yeah.
Because the big serpent guy is there, isn't he? In the
magic. He's a magic.
Oh, he's a magic.
Yeah, he's a magic man.
He's a magic man.
If you notice, he was doing Doctor Strange hand symbols and doing Doctor Strange shields. He's a magic man. I've completely forgotten his name. Cluelert.
Okay.
Probably. Miley Cyrus was there. Miley Cyrus was the voice of the robot head.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's weird.
Mainframe, who in the comics is the future Vision's head.
Oh. And
then attached to a new body.
Oh.
But they've got a different way, obviously, in the movie.
Probably tinkered around with it. Who's the Asian woman?
That's his wife. Not that I like to define women as who their husband is, but it's Micheal. Do you mean the actress or the character?
No, the character.
Oh, I forget her name. I forget what's Sylvester Stallone's name. Not Sylvester Stallone, obviously.
Drax, was it something like this?
Stracker,
something like that. It was, isn't it? He gave me a chance. He freed me from a Kree slave vessel.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. I like that they went the retro design though with the Big Fin.
The Big Fin was cool.
The Big Fin was so cool. It was so much cooler than the original.
Have you, in the last few months since Guardians of the Galaxy, managed to avoid I'm Mary Poppins, y'all?
No, didn't avoid that one. Got that one pretty early on. A lot of fan art is based on that. And then unfortunately I stumbled upon that ending.
So you did know
on Reddit? No, I knew, but I didn't know how. But it still, I put it together once the second I saw the way it was gone. I was like, oh. Okay.
There were quite a few Mary Poppins Yondus at Dublin City Comic Con.
Really?
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Quite a few. I say maybe two.
It's quite a few.
That's quite a few. There might have been two. Might have been two, and I saw them more than once and didn't really keep track of them. But there were some Mary Poppins Yondus and Mary Poppins Y'all.
Cool. Gamora's an interesting one because she's known as the most dangerous woman in the galaxy. I don't think she is in the MCU, but in the comics she's the most dangerous woman in the galaxy, and seen as a hand servant to Death. And I think she meets Mistress Death at one point in the comics, and she lets her go because she's done so much work for her over the years. No, but I think there's literally a conversation like that between her and Gamora.
The movie, one of the things that irks me, because I love a connected universe.
You do.
I really enjoy a connected universe.
A well-built,
I was sitting there during Defenders last week. Is that right? Yes. Thinking, isn't it amazing that this happens in the same universe as Guardians of the Galaxy? Okay, as I said last week on the podcast, if you remember,
yes,
who would win the fight between Drax?
It's kind of hard because it was a week ago now.
Yeah,
but
it was.
I recall that question.
True. So who would win the fight between Drax and Luke Cage? And it's very hard to tell because the Guardians, especially the Guardians, more than anyone, are really poorly defined power-wise.
Yeah, because they have to be, I guess.
Yeah,
to make them function like in and against the world. Because I was looking at. Because surely Gamora would be able to disarm Jessica Jones in no time.
Oh,
they're just completely different.
Okay, let's give her the benefit of the doubt that she picked up that cannon. Yeah. Let's give a few benefits of the doubt. Let's give benefit of the doubt one. It's an incredibly lightweight alloy
because it has to be to fly through space.
Right. Sure. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt two. That the recoil is dampened by the gun itself.
Because you couldn't have that on a ship because there's no stability.
Yeah, which doesn't make that much sense.
We're sciencing the fuck out of this.
Well, not really. Usually,
I'm not a scientist. I'm allowed to be off the wagon.
Yeah, but let's give a few benefits of doubt.
Yeah.
She still picked that thing up
No problem.
No problem, and managed to aim it.
And it still functioned.
Yeah.
No problem.
So, like, even if that was styrofoam,
Did quite well.
it's still pretty big.
Quite well.
Like, it's a big thing.
She's also incredibly durable.
Incredibly so.
Like,
And
she crashes a ship and
walks away.
Nebula takes more damage, but she reboots.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a really weird scene where it was like, oh, she really is 90% robot. Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I was like, but you could really see the Frankenstein's monster versus the perfect child. I like that.
Also, she single-handedly holds Drax. Drax is a big dude.
Yeah, she just
and
links.
got the friction of space.
Yeah.
Sorry, the friction of space, that doesn't mean anything.
So again,
the friction of his atmospheric entry.
Yeah.
And he's banging off trees and she's holding them with one hand on an
Very
unknotted rope.
poorly defined.
Yeah.
Because she's untouchable in the comics.
Mm.
She takes on like celestial beings and wins.
Mm.
No problem. Like, doesn't break a sweat. And when someone does beat her, there's something else. They're beyond the realm of Marvel's.
But yet in episode 1, in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, she didn't manage to overpower Peter.
Peter Quill, yeah, he outsmarts her a bunch of times. So she's definitely not canon. Neither is Drax. Like, Drax kills Thanos in the comics.
Yeah.
A couple of times. That's his original. He's Drax the Destroyer of Thanos. That's the bit in, like, quotes that isn't there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But Drax's power very undefined as well. To me,
basically what we come back to here is that death is very hard to define in fucking comics.
We're still talking about death? I thought we were done with Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, a couple of other deaths, right?
Sure.
A couple of other deaths. Supernatural has a cool death.
The overcoat wearer.
He's just an old guy.
Nice Ralph Stanley remix.
I've forgotten his name.
Death.
That's the bloody song. Don't sing that. That's going to get us copyright claimed again.
Is that why we get in trouble? Because we played the fucking...
Yeah.
We got a copyright claim on Pretty Deadly's thing. Because I played a bit of a song.
Yeah. We could probably dispute it. Stupid copyright claims.
So is it gone? Like, is it dead?
No, it's just... It's monetized by Sony. So any money it earns, Sony are earning it.
Jesus Christ.
We should probably... I think if we dispute the claim, we'd get it back. And then we'll earn those sweet, sweet cents.
What a silly thing to call us on.
I know, it's weird.
That was me singing, by the way. That counts as interpretation. That definitely isn't a copyright claim.
I don't know, you're not even allowed to sing Happy Birthday.
What?
Happy Birthday's copyrighted.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear corporation. Happy birthday, fuck you.
Oh.
No, I really don't like that. That's fucking stupid. It's hardly like we make any money off this. Like.
So death.
Sorry.
Supernatural's pretty good.
He loves fast food.
Yeah, and
adores fast food.
Yeah, he saves Chicago because he loves pizza.
Yeah.
But just the guy's face, he's a good face.
No, he's a perfect death.
Yeah. In that, he is old, at least as old and possibly older than God.
He is older than God, is that not what's going on?
Well, he said he doesn't remember. God
got a character, didn't he? He got...
Yeah, what's his name? The curly-haired guy.
Cain came back.
And it
was God this time.
Yeah, he got stupid. Look, it was stupid. But
it got stupid after like season 6.
Yeah, but death was pretty cool. Another good death. Discworld, are you a Discworld man?
I am, I love
Discworld
that
reader?
death.
It's a very good death.
Excellent death. Good sense of humour.
Yeah. What I like about that death is that he's an aspect of a greater death, and he himself has aspects.
Yeah, he has the little rat.
The death of rats, and the death of rats has the death of fleas, and each death is... But they all...
Like little babushka dolls.
Yeah. It's Matryoshka, I think.
Little Russian nesting dolls.
But they're all aspects of the main god of death. And there are 8 kind of abstract entities in this world.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very endless.
Like a hierarchy kind of. Which came first?
Don't know.
Terry Pratchett's definitely did.
But I don't know if that concept came first.
70s.
Yeah, but I don't know when. Yeah. I think the concept of the older gods.
They work together quite a lot. Like they could have been a conversation in a bar.
Yeah, so like they're good mates.
A great book.
Other deaths that are kind of cool. I know you're not a Warhammer person.
I'm not, but go ahead.
There's a cool story in Warhammer. There's an ancient race called the Necrons, which is the second time I've said that
robot
word.
skeleton people.
The robot skeleton people.
Yeah. I have some of those under my bed at home.
The Necron... Do you?
Yeah, I tried it once.
The Necrons worship these star vampires called the Satan or the Catan. And what's interesting about them is they're physical beings. They're not warp beings. So they're not demons. They exist in the physical universe and they follow physical laws. And one of them, well, yeah, but they're incredibly powerful,
tough.
But one of them is called the Nightbringer.
I've heard this.
And he looks like a Grim Reaper.
I think I had the codex for that.
He's
in the
pretty,
codex somewhere.
like he's a Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
He's a 3-story tall Grim Reaper. But the thing about him is, all of the younger races of the universe, humans, orcs, Eldar, were engineered, essentially, to fight the Satan and the Necrons.
Oh.
And the Satan caused so much destruction throughout the universe that the image of the Nightbringer imprinted onto all of these races.
Oh.
And that's why it looks like
that's quite
a
cool.
Grim Reaper. And that's why the Eldar and the humans, who are very different species, have very similar
common...
Yeah. So the Eldar have death jesters and death reapers and things like that, which wouldn't make a lot of sense because but it all comes from the Nightbringer. And the only ones who don't are the orcs, because the orcs have no fear of death.
Oh, so they don't ever have to do that.
So they're not scared of him, which I like.
Oh,
it's a good death.
That's a good death. Sounds good. I like that the orcs don't fear him.
Mm-hmm.
Pig ignorant, but yeah, good. What are you? Are you a brood collector? Are you a Chaos Marine guy?
Me?
Yeah.
Warhammer?
Yeah.
Chaos Marines?
Chaos
the main
Marines.
thing? Yeah.
You don't really play it though, do you?
I think I've
them.
played Warhammer twice.
Yeah, you paint them.
Yeah.
And does a damn good job, by the way.
Yeah, look, they're pretty impressive.
Alright, settle down.
Shall we?
On that note, Michael, do you want to just pat yourself on the back there again?
Yeah. If any Warhammer fans, let us know.
No, don't.
No, do.
No.
Look, there's no.
Does that mean I can put it on the Warhammer Reddit now because we mentioned Warhammer?
No, I don't think we mentioned it enough. But one of these days, we're going to do one of our famous episodes. This thing that I like is actually quite good.
And you will convince me.
And I'm going to convince you that Warhammer is cool.
Okay.
At least
it's worth spending time with.
At least the background. What I love about Warhammer is the background, the universe.
You're a big old lore fan.
Yeah.
So on that note, who's your favourite kind of death? Which death do you want to meet?
Yeah. Why hasn't Death managed to claim Stan Lee yet?
Sexy upper curves death? Emo not emo death?
She's not emo.
Lazy death who won't claim Stan Lee death?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah.
Like, share and subscribe.
Oh wow.
Or we'll send Satan lands after you.
Yeah, the Nightbringer.
Yeah.
Bye!
Multicultural death. Boom.